The world's history is like a massive puzzle. Some pieces fit perfectly, others seem forced, and a few, well, they make you question everything you thought you knew. Today, we're diving into 13 mind-bending facts from world history. These are the kinds of things that sound too wild to be true, yet they happened. And by the end, you may never look at history the same way again. Fact 1. The Dancing Plague of 1518. Strasbourg, France. A scorching July day. Out of nowhere, a woman named Frau Troffea walks into the street and starts dancing. No music, no festival, no reason. She just dances. Hours go by. She doesn't stop. By nightfall, she collapses, only to get up and continue the next morning. Within a week, dozens join her. By the end of the month, 400 people are dancing uncontrollably in the streets. Some collapse from exhaustion. Others die from heart attacks and strokes, their bodies giving out while their legs refuse to. Doctors at the time believed it was overheated blood. Authorities even made things worse by hiring musicians, thinking the dancers would dance it out. Instead, more joined in. No one knows exactly what triggered it: mass hysteria, poisoned bread, or maybe something deeper. But one thing is certain: for weeks, a city was possessed by an unstoppable, deadly rhythm. Imagine watching your neighbors die dancing. That was real history. Fact 2. The emperor who buried 8,000 soldiers alive. In 210 BCE, the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, ordered the creation of the Terracotta Army. At first glance, it looks like an incredible art project: 8,000 life-size clay soldiers, each with unique facial features, guarding the emperor's tomb. But here's the chilling part. Ancient records claim that when the emperor died, workers who built the underground city were sealed inside, buried alive, to ensure the secrets of the tomb were never revealed. Rivers of mercury reportedly flowed through the chambers, simulating an eternal paradise. And here's where it gets eerie: modern soil tests around the tomb reveal unnaturally high levels of mercury, suggesting those legends might actually be true. So the Terracotta Army isn't just a display of power, it's a graveyard of secrets. Fact 3. The Great Emu War. Australia, 1932. Soldiers return home from World War I, only to face a new enemy: emus. Yes, emus, the giant, flightless birds. Thousands were destroying wheat crops, threatening farmers' survival. So the government deployed machine gun squads. You'd think it would be over quickly. It wasn't. The emus moved in fast, scattered in groups, and absorbed bullets like feathered tanks. They outran trucks, dodged gunfire, and by the end of the war, the emus had won. Australia had literally gone to war with birds, and lost. Newspapers mocked the army, politicians scrambled for excuses, and farmers were left shaking their heads. To this day, it remains one of the strangest military campaigns in history. Fact 4. Napoleon was attacked by bunnies. Speaking of strange military moments, here's one that sounds made up. In the early 1800s, Napoleon Bonaparte organized a rabbit hunt for himself and his officers. The plan was simple: release hundreds of rabbits, let the soldiers enjoy the chase. But something went terribly wrong. When the cages opened, instead of running away, the rabbits charged straight at Napoleon and his men. Turns out, the gamekeeper had accidentally purchased tame farm rabbits. Thinking they were about to be fed, the animals swarmed Napoleon, climbing his boots, clawing at coats, and refusing to back down. Imagine the most feared general in Europe fleeing from a fluffy mob. That's history. Fact 5. The City of Bones beneath Paris. Paris, France. Tourists flock to the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre, but deep beneath the city lies a darker secret: the catacombs. In the late 1700s, Paris faced a horrifying problem: cemeteries were overflowing. Graves split open, spilling bodies into the streets. The solution? Authorities dug up millions of skeletons and stacked them in abandoned quarry tunnels beneath the city. Today, more than 6 million bodies rest in carefully arranged walls of skulls and bones. But here's the creepy part: some explorers claim the tunnels go far deeper, into chambers the public has never seen. In 2004, police discovered a fully equipped underground cinema hidden inside the catacombs, powered by electricity with a bar and lounge. No one knows who built it. The dead may not rest as quietly as we think. Fact 6. The woman who survived both atomic bombs. Hiroshima, August 6, 1945. Tsutomu Yamaguchi, a Japanese engineer, is on a business trip when the first atomic bomb detonates. Blinded, burned, and barely alive, he manages to survive. 3 days later, bandaged and staggering, he makes it home to Nagasaki. Yes, the second target. When the second bomb drops, Yamaguchi is blown off his feet again. Somehow, he survives both nuclear blasts, living into his 90s. He is the only officially recognized person to have endured and lived through both atomic bombings. Talk about fate. Fact 7. The war that lasted 335 years without a shot. In 1651, during England's Civil War, the tiny Isles of Scilly technically declared war on the Netherlands. The problem? They forgot to sign a peace treaty. Centuries passed. Generations lived and died, completely unaware that a war was technically still happening. No battles, no blood, just paperwork, left undone. Finally, in 1986, a Dutch ambassador visited Scilly and formally signed a peace treaty, ending a war that had lasted 335 years. It may be the longest and quietest conflict in history. Fact 8. The exploding whale. Oregon, USA, 1970. A dead sperm whale, weighing 8 tons, washes up on the beach. Authorities panic. The smell is unbearable. The body is too heavy to move. So they come up with a plan: blow it up with dynamite. Hundreds of spectators gather, expecting a safe, controlled demolition. Instead, the blast launches chunks of whale blubber the size of cars into the sky. One piece crushes a car parked a quarter-mile away. The crowd runs for cover as stinking flesh rains down. The plan backfired, literally. To this day, it remains one of the most bizarre government decisions in US history. Fact 9. The Ghost Army of World War II. In World War II, the US deployed a secret unit like no other, the Ghost Army. This wasn't a fighting force. It was an illusion. Artists, actors, and sound engineers were recruited to fool the Nazis. They built inflatable tanks, broadcast fake radio transmissions, and blasted recordings of troop movements through giant speakers. Entire German divisions were tricked into thinking they were facing thousands of soldiers, when in reality, it was just a handful of men with props and creativity. Historians believe the Ghost Army saved tens of thousands of lives by diverting enemy forces. It's proof that sometimes, the deadliest weapon isn't a gun, it's imagination. Fact 10. The Night of the Radium Girls. 1917, young women take jobs painting watch dials with glowing paint made from radium, a newly discovered element. Managers told them it was safe, even healthy. To sharpen their brushes, the girls were instructed to lick the bristles. They painted their nails, teeth, and lips with the glowing paint, giggling at their ghostly reflections in the dark. Fact 11. The Library of Ashes. In 1922, archaeologists uncovered the world's oldest library in Nineveh, the ancient Assyrian capital. Inside were 30,000 clay tablets, stories, medical texts, astronomy charts. But here's the strange part: when Nineveh burned in 612 BCE, the fire actually preserved the library. The flames baked the clay tablets, turning them into stone-hard relics that survived for thousands of years. The very disaster that destroyed a civilization saved its knowledge. Without that fire, countless records of ancient Mesopotamia, the birthplace of writing itself, might have been lost forever. Fact 12. The forgotten volcano that changed the world. In 1815, Mount Tambora erupted in Indonesia. The blast was so massive it darkened skies across the globe. Temperatures plummeted. Crops failed. 1816 became known as the year without a summer. In Europe, desperate families starved. In North America, snow fell in June. And in a dark villa by Lake Geneva, a group of writers trapped indoors began telling ghost stories to pass the time. One of them, Mary Shelley, created Frankenstein. Out of disaster came one of literature's greatest monsters. A single volcano shaped history, art, and imagination in ways no one could have predicted. Fact 13: the ship that refused to sink. In 1942, the Allied ship SS Robert E. Lee was torpedoed by a German submarine. But it wasn't the ship that made history, it was the tugboat escorting it, the USS PC-565. After rescuing survivors, the tug turned its guns on the submarine, unleashing depth charges until the U-boat was destroyed. But here's where it gets mind-blowing. Divers later discovered the submarine crew had been firing back the entire time. Their torpedoes kept striking the tugboat, but the torpedoes failed to explode. Over and over. Statistically impossible. Some called it luck, others divine intervention. Either way, the tug survived against impossible odds, saving hundreds of lives. And there you have it, 13 stories that sound unbelievable but are absolutely true. A plague that made people dance to death. An emperor who built rivers of mercury. A war fought against birds. A general chased by rabbits. A city of bones. A man who survived not one, but 2 nuclear blasts. A forgotten war that lasted 335 years. An exploding whale. An army of illusions. Women who glowed in the dark and died for the truth. A library saved by fire. A volcano that birthed Frankenstein. And a ship saved by miracles. History isn't just dates and names, it's stranger, darker, and more unbelievable than anything we could make up. And the more you look, the more you realize, the past isn't dead. It's alive, waiting to shock us again.